Hey everyone, welcome back. Oh my god, I'm so sluggish. I ate so much pasta. It's not normal the amount of pasta that I ate, but I had lunch really late and I was very hungry, so that's why. So if my energy is not up to par, if I'm slurring my if I'm slurring my words, it's not because I drank, it's not because I'm under any type of toxic substance, it's because there's too many carbohydrates in my bloodstream right now. And speaking of pasta, I thought it might be really fun to do a video that I have been thinking about for a long time, which is lessons that I have learned from Italians. A lot of you guys ask me about my life here, about what it is like to live in Europe. I live in Milan, so all of my impressions and opinions come from the northern part of the country, but Milan is sort of that melting pot with a lot of people from the whole country that come here to work, to open businesses, and I do see a pattern here. So if you're Italian, let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree. And if you're not Italian, maybe you can tell me about either some misconceptions or ideas that you had in your mind about Italians that go against what I'm going to say on this video. That would be fun. I will be referencing my notes because again, my brain is not working properly. Yes. First lesson is that they have main character energy. Most of the people that I have met in this country have a lot of self-confidence. Some of them can be a little cocky, but at the same time, I think it's very admirable that they take themselves and their ideas and who they are with respect. And it's really funny because I used to work in a store when I got here, like first year. And the feedback that I kept getting from my colleagues, from bosses were, you're too nice. People will walk all over you. Stop being so nice. Like, be more assertive, be more forward. And that's so funny because I grew up just learning how to be, you know, delicate, how to be very considerate of what other people might think, and to be, you know, just a little bit more discreet. They're bold. I'm not saying they're mean. I'm not saying that they're egomaniacs. I'm not saying that they don't care about other people, but they do have that inner strength that I think is very admirable and I think can be a great asset when you need to command respect and get a point through. And having this main character energy is really reflected by the way that they talk. Oh my god, they talk so loud. Friends, colleagues, Italians, please don't come for me, but you have something like a subwoofer inside of you that you manage to project your voice so loudly. I mean, the amount of times that I have heard conversations on the phone and I felt like I was participating on it, not only by the person who's speaking in front of me, but by the person who's in the phone, like calling. I mean, take it down a notch. I just love it. I think it's really interesting how they can have this more nonchalant, laid back energy of living well, of, you know, being very casual, of not really caring. But when they need to command respect, boy, run for the hills. Second point is they do not put up with any BS. And this connects with the previous point because with the level of self-confidence that they have, they are also their best advocate. They just will not take any crap. It's amazing. If someone cuts in line, they will immediately complain. If someone is taking too long to do their job, they will be very direct and politely, most of the times, will correct it like immediately. They're just always ready to fight back. They won't like wilt down like a little flower. They will embolden themselves and they will, you know, do their best to fight the fight. That sometimes, in my experience, I'm not saying they're all like this, but sometimes that can translate into a little bit of an overdose, so things can get a little bit aggressive, and not aggressive physically, but like, again, the volumes of the voices just start going up and up and up, and they're bold. Italians are a bold confident, strong people, and that has a very good part, but that also kind of comes out in some overreactions here and there. And on the one side, when I am in that type of situation, I think, oh my god, that's so embarrassing, I could never do that. But then I think back on it and it's like, it's great not to be a doormat sometimes. So I do think it's something that I can exercise and improve on. Maybe I'll never get to their level, but just being my own best advocate can be a great thing. Point number 3, they know how to dress. Oh my god. When I moved here, it was like breathing fresh air. You saw these beautiful people, and sometimes they're not even beautiful like physically, but just by the way they choose to dress makes them elegant and attractive. It's so nice to see. I guess it's the centuries of being a very artistic, very aesthetic people, but they just know. They know what looks good on them. They are not afraid to take a risk when it comes to fashion, but they take the right risk and they just look confident doing it. So it doesn't look awkward, it doesn't look like it's trying too hard. It looks like they were born for it. They're also extremely particular and knowledgeable about materials, quality, cut, about production, manufacturing. So they sort of transport that know-how to how they shop, to how they choose to put new things into their wardrobe. They understand what something costs, so you will not be seeing Italians kind of buying over and over and over again. They're very mindful and very strategic about how they spend their money with clothes, with accessories. They know how much something should cost, and they are willing to pay the price that is worth for it. But they're also not just going to splurge on something just because it's expensive and hyped up. And what I think is most interesting about this is the fact that before coming to Italy, I thought I knew everything about fashion, about style, about fabric. I mean, I am a fashion major. I have worked with this for years and years, but when I started really having relationships with Italians, having friends, having colleagues, I started sort of getting a behind the scenes type of information that I had never gotten anywhere else, like the difference between good cashmere and bad cashmere, how a lapel should look, good fur, what it looks like, where in the regions of the country and where in the world you should go to buy certain things, why certain things are made in certain materials. I mean, I did learn this in college, but not to this extent. And it really surprises me that this is sort of common knowledge. It's not just a very particular, limited part of the population that knows this. It's kind of the culture around. And they can be very critical with fashion, but that is just because they have high standards and they're not willing to compromise on them. Lesson number 4 is Italians and their relationship with food. Before coming here, I had a very different idea from the reality of how Italians eat. I had this sort of Pavarotti figure in mind, a chubbier guy eating a bowl of spaghetti while laughing and drinking wine and having gelato and having cannoli and just being very permissive and very exaggerated with food. Well, I came here and I got a reality check. Real life is really far from that. In Brazil, we have a heavier diet, I feel like. We eat a lot of grains, we eat a lot of meat, we do have amazing desserts. It's all about feeling full. It's about having a hearty meal. So when I started working in Italy and I started going out to lunch with friends and seeing how they actually ate, it was really surprising to me. Italians day to day eat a very sensible Mediterranean diet. They will not go for the heavier dish. They will not drink bottles of wine at lunch and, pretend that they're going to have a siesta after work. That does happen though in a few parts of Italy, but not here. But the main point is that they have a very healthy relationship with food. I remember that when I started working, whenever we went to lunch, I would always get a pasta or I would get a lasagna or just those heavy very classic in our minds Italian dishes, and my friends would look at me like I was crazy. They would literally with this face like, wow, really? And then I got it. Because while I was digesting my lasagna for hours and hours, almost falling asleep on my desk, kind of what is happening to me right now, clearly haven't learned my lesson, their little plate of grilled vegetables, chicken, salads made them quick as a whip for our meetings. So I saw myself agreeing to things that I normally wouldn't just because I felt so sluggish. They were there, present, vibrant, energetic. I think the trick for them is to eat a very well-rounded, varied diets that are seasonal. We all heard about the Mediterranean diet. That is an actual thing. It's not just a fad. They actually eat like that. A lot of veggies, a lot of greens, a lot of healthy fats, a lot of fish. They will easily go for some shrimp salad rather than a steak. Actually, meat here is quite expensive and they will eat it very rarely. It's not occasional. It's actually pretty common to sort of lead a more vegetarian diet during the week and then you do sort of a barbecue on the weekends. They eat a lot of fruit. They will eat asparagus when it's time to eat asparagus. They will eat pumpkin when it's time to eat pumpkin. They will eat apples when it's time to eat apples, and when it's December, clementines everywhere. My office smells like an orchard because they will eat seasonally, as it should be. And I do think that this is such a smart way of preserving your body, preserving your health. That's why they live so long. It's not just a miracle from the heavens, they work for it their whole lives. And also the fact that they walk a lot, they're very active, they like to be outside, they like to do trekking and they like to swim. It's all part of this formula that makes their relationship with their bodies a good one. So they're not in it, they're not overthinking it. Oh my god, I need to go to the gym. Oh my god, I can only eat proteins. It's way more holistic than that. And also, I think that having gone through wars and having this seasonal approach to food have made them very, very creative about how they cook, about how they explore ingredients, about how they prepare them, about their respect for food. I don't see anyone here leaving food on their plates. It's a really, really rare sighting to see a plate that is half eaten. They have that respect towards their food and towards just having the opportunity to eat, which is also sort of a pusher in terms of creativity as well. You can see that they kind of find new ways of exploring ingredients, new techniques of just broadening the ways that you can cook a certain type of thing. So take an artichoke, for example. You'll see it steamed. You will see it deep fried. You would see it grilled. You will see it done in a pate. You will see it as stuffing for pasta. So it kind of gives a new dressing, gives new life to ingredients so that you're not tired of it, so that you're eating them, but they're not just the same thing every day. So yeah, that is a very, very important lesson that I've learned, and I will take it with me for the rest of my life. If I ever have children, hopefully I'll be able to pass this value along to them because it is precious. Fifth and last lesson is Italians speak to be heard. And I'm not just talking about the volume of their voice. I know I kind of made fun of that in the first few points, but it's not just the volume with which they say it, but what they're actually saying. Italians are orators. They know how to speak. They have this amazing vocabulary that they learn in school. My husband did a master's here and he told me that Italians have a different way of testing. I was used to doing written tests, you know, the classic sit down with your little leaf, write your answers and you're done. If you get them right, you're good to go. If not, you fail. Italians have a more, let's say, traumatizing way of testing their students. They actually have oral tests. So not only do you need to know your stuff, you have to know how to present your stuff, which can be very hard if you do not have the self-confidence, if you do not have the right tone of voice, if you do not have the ability to debate and to logically explain your thought process. They are masters at this. It's no wonder that some of the most brilliant writers, most famously Dante, are Italians. It's no wonder that their music is so beautifully lettered. You just look at some operas from Verdi, from Puccini, and you will know that the relationship that they have with words is different and special. It's just really interesting. It's ingrained in them. I always find it interesting, two situations. Number one, when I see children speaking Italian and they're like these teeny tiny children, and the way they're speaking is better than my Italian. So they have this quality of vocabulary from a very young age. The parents talk to the kids in a very natural, non-patronizing way, which I think really helps. And it's so cute because it's a teeny tiny person with a teeny tiny voice just saying really big, complicated words. And second situation that I find is very reflective of that capacity to speak is that even if you go to talk to a supermarket cashier, if you're going to talk to a busboy, if you're going to talk to someone who's picking up trash, to a gardener, they all have a beautiful way of speaking. So it's not really a matter of money. Of course, if you're a professor, if you have a doctorate or something like that, you will have a more vast vocabulary. But that doesn't mean that if you talk to someone who comes from a simpler background or who comes from a lower income, that they won't be able to wow you with their abilities to speak Italian. And I think this is a great reflection on the Italian education. They do, like I said, have this very academic side to them that I don't think is talked about too often. They're such bookworms. Everybody here reads and reads a lot. They will talk about books. Books are part of their routine. It's not an effort. It's not something that you just do for school. It's part of their entertainment. It's part of who they are. I'm gonna admit to this. Sometimes I feel a little stupid around my Italian friends. They will talk about poetry and philosophy and about writings from the 18th and 19th century, and I will be like, I love the Princess Diaries, okay? Speak in small words, please. So yeah, they have this very interesting, very intimate relationship with literature, with education, with writing and reading. So great point for being Italian there. This is it, everyone. These are the lessons that I have learned. Well, a few of the lessons that I have learned since moving here. I mean, if you want to name just a few more, their cleanliness is spotless. You go to an Italian's house and everything will be orderly, everything will be clean. They respect their elders, which to me is one of the most beautiful values that they hold. That to me is very, very important. And it's a true reflection of who they are as a people. They love history. They love their heritage. They love their culture. They're very proud of who they are and where they come from, which is something we can all learn from. They know how to live life. They don't take themselves too seriously. Sometimes they can get a little rowdy. I mean, I have considered calling the police on some of my neighbors a few times, but then 2 minutes later, they're just laughing like nothing happened, and I just feel silly and like I'm an uptight person or something, so maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, moving here has been a true blessing and a true life experience. If you ever have the chance to live among Italians, do. Let me know down in the comments if any of you live in countries different from where you were born, and if you see these differences, if you have learned lessons that you would like to share. I think that would be very, very interesting. I'd be very interested to know. Hopefully you found this fun and interesting, and we'll see each other again next time. Bye bye.